I'll stop and introduce our President and CEO, Jen Sullivan, who's going to share some exciting news about new developments at St. James.
Hello, everybody. Does it work? Yep. I'm here tonight to give you an update on what's going on at St. James. I think, or actually I'll start by saying how grateful I am that we're onward and upward, and that this may be a little bit of an easier town hall than we may have had in the past, because we're in such a different position at this point. We're doing very well, and we have a lot of good news to share with you. So I'll start with the progress on our new hospital. And we have selected a site which is different than what you've heard in days past. It's the Kmart Plaza. And what we were looking at is a couple sites, and as you know, we had previously talked about Bethesda. But what we had determined is that there would be a lot of room for growth and flexibility at a larger site. The Kmart Plaza already has an existing building that can be renovated and used, has an existing parking lot, and a lot of land that does provide flexibility. Also, when you look at things like soil and all these detailed things that you go through when you're building a new building, you look at the cost of construction and would the site have an impact on the dollars you'd need to spend. And so when we looked at all of that, that's where we landed at the Kmart site. So what we're looking to do is build our new hospital there, renovate the existing building into medical office space, and make it look like a campus. And so what I'll show you this evening is a visual, a picture of what that looks like. We did submit our paperwork to the state at the end of October, so it's been just about, I guess it's been a month, probably a month to today actually. And what a certificate of need is, it's a huge pile of paper, if you will. It has financial projections, how are you going to pay for it, architectural drawings, narratives, I mean all this stuff. It's more detailed than you can imagine. A lot of hard work was put into putting that together, and so now that's in New York State's hands to determine what else they need from us in order to move this project forward. And so that's an iterative process. We'll go back and forth with the state for a period of time. Not sure how long that will be, but we're hoping that will move along fairly quickly. We are not allowed to begin the project until we have their approval, and so we're working very diligently to address any and all questions they have on the project. So the highlights of our application in terms of what will the new hospital include. It has a nearly 10,000 square foot emergency department, a 15-bed medical surgical unit, so we'll have inpatient beds, 4 beds for observation. You may have heard in the past, observation, you're still in a bed. It's just a different status. So if you add the two together, it's really 19 beds. A surgery endoscopy center, an infusion center, not chemotherapy, radiology and laboratory services. So the services that you would consider core services to a small rural hospital, nonetheless services that every small community needs. We've also obtained funding from the state to implement a new electronic medical record, and that's very important because it connects us all to each other. And so very important part of our future going forward. So if you can see this picture, I don't have the little laser, but as you can, well, I guess we don't have a laser. Do we have a laser? We do not have a laser, but I can actually pretend that I won't fall. Okay, so just to get your bearings, this road here is Seneca, and so when you're coming into the Kmart Plaza, that's the existing parking lot. So if you can get your bearings, just kind of look at that's the entrance into the current Kmart Plaza right now. And if you see that, as you're going into, so say you're coming into the plaza off Seneca, if you look straight ahead, that's the existing building. The existing was Kmart, Wegmans, and that's the building we would renovate. I believe it's a 135,000 square foot building. And what the plan is to put in there is basically medical office space. And so things like that, physical therapy, primary care type things. People like us, back office, administrative, people who don't need to be in high cost, expensive hospital space, But nonetheless, some of those also in that MOB, you want storefront space. So when you're going to a doctor's office or going for physical therapy or whatnot, patients are looking for a storefront where you walk right up to the door and get the service. They don't necessarily need or want to navigate a hospital. Then you look kitty corner and the hospital is there. That's the little brownish red building. We're looking to put it on an angle so it looks more like a campus and not like a box. We don't want it to look like a plaza. And then there's a little green courtyard in between. The emergency room will be on the side where you see the ambulance entrance, and you'll see the X for the helipad. So the helicopter pad will be right near the emergency room, right near the ambulance access. So I don't know if anyone has any questions on this, but I'll stop here for a moment because that's the piece about the new buildings. Any questions? Okay, so
I think you can compare what's going on here to the successful resuscitation of a dying patient, and you're all to be congratulated.
thank you. Okay, I appreciate that very much, so thank you. And I'm going to continue with the presentation, but there is a question and answer session at the end. And so if you didn't ask anything now, you'll certainly have that opportunity in a few minutes. The timeline for the new building, we're planning a ground breaking in 2017. I can't tell you exactly when because, again, we need the state's approval, and opening the new hospital in 2018. So we're seeing dates come forth and feeling like we're getting there. Oops. We've actually welcomed many new providers to St. James, and the momentum has grown, and so I think this is a very exciting time for us. We've brought Kevin Bryceland on board. He's a physician assistant. You may have seen him working at Express Care. He does some work in our emergency department, and he actually is the chief of our mid-level providers, physician assistants and nurse practitioners. So he is the one that is really overseeing them because we've brought on a fairly large team of mid-level providers in the last 90 days. The next one is Brandy Burke. She's a nurse practitioner who's working at our Express Care. Emily Duke is a physician assistant, also working at Express Care. Jack Florio, physician assistant. He's listed as Express Care and Emergency Department, although his preference is to spend time in the Emergency Department. I think he likes the night shift. Then we have Dave Hanrahan. Many of you may know Dave, physician assistant. He's worked in the hospital, and he also works at Express Care. Lauren Phillips is another. She's a physician assistant that works in Express Care. Kevin Wentworth is a physician assistant who works in our emergency department, and Meg Wright, a physician assistant in Express Care. So many new faces, a lot of new providers, and it's exciting to see them join our team and work with us going forward.